All right, welcome to another episode of Comic Book Squares. We got another great one today. My name's Shane.
I'm Carrie.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Mike. Let's get this show started.
All right, well, welcome to another episode of Comic Book Squares. This is going to be a really interesting one. Paul found a really fun, interesting book for us to talk about. This is called Deathrage. Paul, tell us a little bit about it.
All right, I'll tell you very little about it because then we're going to have a lot more to talk about. So Deathrage is basically the name of a character named Mark Freeman. He's or used to be a member of what's called the Spartans, which we're thinking they were mercenaries. And for some reason, he's taken it upon himself to lose himself in his AI mask and all this other stuff going on. And he basically turns around and attacks this group. You know, he kind of cracks wise, as you know, a lot of the modern heroes do. So there's some homage there to some characters that you might be familiar with. But it's from a company called MERC Publishing. You can get this either print or on the Global Comics site. I believe they are up to issue 6 right now, but the one we're going to review is issue 1. And I guess the best way to think of this mashup is kind of a Deadpool meets Deathlock with some blood sport, with some Punisher AI, blah blah blah, all that good stuff mixed in. I mean, it's all over the road. And you know, if you look at the cover for number 1, it basically says Special Blood Spatter Edition, and in the military we call that a no shitter.
Oh man.
What'd
So
you
what
think,
did
Mike?
yeah? So what did you guys think?
Hey, Mike.
Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mike?
definitely Deadpool influence. I think the mask was kind of like, to me, there's some artists that are in EDM, electronic dance music, that have masks that like change faces and stuff. It kind of reminded me of a mashup of that a little bit. But yeah, definitely very cool. Like a soldier that's trying to become enhanced reminds me of a couple different things, and almost like a cyborg or a Terminator type, where you're trying to go to the next level, but then all of a sudden, you know, the system kind of turns on yourself. You kind of turn on yourself, type of thing. And so, very everything. Again, when we review some of these books from smaller publishers, sometimes very, very small publishers, it's amazing to me the teams that come on board, because everything about this comic, again, from the lettering to the colors to the artists to the story, just every aspect, to me, it's amazing to me that it draws you in so quickly. And it did that to me with this story. This is just, I would think would appeal to the masses. If it were a DC or Marvel or Image book, I think it would be a very top seller, a very high top seller, because everything is there. It's so good. So just again, staying very general. I usually don't go into too many specifics because I don't want to spoil it. And I know each of you are very good at going into specifics without spoiling it. I have that problem. I go too far and then I spoil something. So I stay very general, but overall, this book was amazing. And definitely it's one of those where you're like, I have to see what happens next. Like, it's almost like binging. Like, I don't want to wait 30 days. I'll wait till there's multiple issues available, and then I'll read them all in one sitting, because I love following that story. If you couldn't tell, because of that, I'm a huge graphic novel trade paperback reader, because I like getting that complete story, because it drives me crazy having to wait. So this is one of those stories where it's just, for me, I'm like, I need to read all of it. Like, it's very engaging. It reaches out and grabs you, and you're like, ooh, what is happening, and what's going on with this, and what's going on with that. And it's done so beautifully, illustrated and lettered and colored.
I mean, definitely from the splash page, you see this character who looks, you know, kind of, you know, again, Deadpool, Deathlock-ish. He's standing there going, what the hell's happening to me? And he's got a mask, almost like a solid, you know, metal mask with an emotion on it. and then you see the cod piece that has the exact same emotion. You're like, I'm in for some serious shit here. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too spoilery?
No, that's the first. That's the first
Maybe.
page. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carrie.
One of the things I found super funny about this episode was there's a moment, maybe like 3/4 of the way through, where there's a complete tone shift of the artistry and the story in and of itself. And I had an audible laugh out loud. Like I laughed hysterically when I saw it. I was just like, okay, all right, this is where we're going. And again, very very Deadpool-esque, but it, like, what was great was I didn't have the time at the moment, but I want to go back and look at those panels because there's a lot of hidden detail. It's one of those, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening in this one shot, and I need to re-examine everything that's going on.
Yeah.
But it's all part of the story. It doesn't take you out. It adds to wherever it's going.
yeah.
100% agree. Yeah.
I
Ben,
sorry.
you wanted to talk about the lettering.
Yeah. I mean, I was, anybody who's listened to the show knows for some reason I always talk about the lettering when I really enjoy it. But I do in this one specifically. Joel Rodriguez is a letterer, and man, I really liked it because to me, like we've talked about it before, lettering is such an important part of comics, and that it helps tell the story, it enhances it, it helps you know who's talking or what the voices might sound like and a great letterer can capture that. And I really love Joel's use of the different lettering styles for when Deathrage is speaking. There's like big yelling and stuff like that. I mean, it's so clean and just well used and well thought out. The lettering, it did nothing but enhance this. It actually, to me, it really enhanced the story. There's sometimes lettering just helps guide you along. This one was an enhancement to me.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah. But I love that first panel, and that's what actually what Paul was describing is the very first page is a splash page. And that drew me in right away because here's this dude, like, what's happening to me? And he's getting attacked by, this team of other heroes.
A Spartan.
And, yeah. Oh, yeah. And a Spartan, like, jumping out after him.
I
And
know.
you're like,
Jump on his
Roman
back.
Bart
and-
is here.
Yeah.
I mean,
What is going on?
it drops you right in the middle of the action. There's no, several years ago, here's what happened. There were some things and some guy, and the guy had a face and some things happened to him, and here we go. It was like, it drops you, and you're like, whoa,
bam. Yeah.
whiplash, it's like, all right, shit, here we go. And I'm sure, Carrie,
that's
you're
what
talking about the
drew
old
me in.
teddy bear sequence, right?
Yeah, the teddy bear sequence where, again, it's like
Happy place.
It was a neat way to kind of go back and kind of give this guy's origin story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's so twisted, to be honest. Like
Yep.
and
we're not going to spoil it. That's the spoil. Where
where
we
it's
just
going
said
is quite
Deathrage
twisted.
and codpiece and teddy bears. There you go.
Exactly.
Go find out for yourself.
And Deadpool. So
And Deadpool.
Yeah. Right.
Crazy stuff.
What about you, Shane?
Yeah. I mean, no. Back to I just want to. I'm actually of the same ilk as you. I love when lettering is done really, really well. I mean, for me, that's the thing I love about this art form is that you've got all these different people, from the colorist to the artist to the writer to the letterers, everybody, and when everybody kind of brings their game up to their top level, I feel like that's when you get real magic happens. And in this piece, like I have it open on the other page here, and just the use of not only color but the outline, the shape of the word balloons, like some of them are angled, some of them are kind of scratchy. The balloon itself, it might be a red outline. I mean, all these different elements to help communicate different way that the dialogue is happening, and you can almost change it in your own head as to how you want to read it. It's just done really, really well. And to your point, Paul, this whole thing of just dropping you in the mix, and just we're as the audience, I think you're confused at first. You're like, wait a minute, there's a Spartan and this guy with this weird mask on, and these other people, why are they fighting? And so you're like figuring it out, and that keeps you engaged as an audience member, I think, to read it.
You're just as confused as he is. he doesn't even know what's happening to him. So you're like, I can buy off on it because he's like, what the hell is going on? What are you guys doing to me? And why is this voice talking in my head, you know? And you're like, yeah, no shit. Why is that happening? Flip, 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 you know?
Yeah.
Can I jump on the appreciation of the word balloons? And I know this is like sounds like probably to listeners it's a weird thing to focus on, but it's awesome. In that, so to Carrie's point about the shift in tone and a whole other like seemingly world, the word balloons change, and if you'll notice when Deathrage is talking the rest of the time, the word balloons indicate that it's electronic sounding voice, right? Because he's speaking through this mask. But when he's in his fantasy world, same outfit, but it's a very smooth word balloon. So he's in his fantasy world, so he's hearing his voice normally, not through the mask. And that's such a small attention to detail, but like that just elevates a book to me. Like, I love that.
Yeah, and I also love how the way that the storytelling is done, you know, like you said, Paul, you're kind of discovering this as you go along, and figuring out the story. And it's definitely not spoon-fed to you because, to your point, Carrie, how you were saying that the origin is kind of shown through this when he goes into his happy place, essentially. And it's done in a not spoon-fed to you way. You've got to actually pay attention to and try and understand how those correlate to the real world outside. So yeah, it from my standpoint, this story more than others that we've read keeps you engaged because you're trying to figure it out, and the artwork and everything else keeps you there. So it all works on all those different levels, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think the story itself is fresh, but it's freshly written. Like it's freshly put together in a way that has you be intrigued as to where it's going next.
I mean, if you look at this character, agree. You're like, this dude is just going to be an all out, you know, just you know, mayhem, just, you know, whatever. And he actually, you know, you find out, and I've, you know, just no spoiler here, but I've got the first 4 issues in print, but they're up to 6, and I believe all 6 issues are on, you know, are on online. So
Comics.
Yeah, so you'll have a great at least first arc if you'd like to read all 6 issues, because it does get increasingly intriguing, crazy. You know, it's awesome. I mean, it doesn't let up. And so, you know, you find he has a conscience. You know, he's a little AI driven there, so there's a little bit of the technology there. But if you guys remember from the first issue, it flashes back to like his life, like in the 80s and stuff. You know, but it's again, to your point, to you guys, Carrie and Ben, about the lettering. You know, it's all very clean. It's very when it drops you in somewhere, the context is there. It's not just a blind like drop you in and you got to figure it out 10 panels in. So I agree. I think the use of the lettering and the style and the coloring of it all, and when Deathrage is when, you know, Mark's AI is talking to him, it's very clear that that's what it is, which I thought was key. So yeah, I mean, just really great stuff. I think it was probably just the cover of #1, and I was like, yeah, I gotta have that. That's just Deathrage. Yeah, that describes me on Sunday night when I think about having to go back to work. So we even have matching helmets and cod pieces. So yeah, I was totally in.
Well, I mean, bringing it back to your point, as far as you know, I agree with you. Not every element of this is going to be completely unique. You can tell that this creative team was influenced by a lot of other things, but mashing it all together and shaking it up into a bag, I feel like they created something that is different. And as the story gets towards the end, you can start and see where they're deviating from what they were inspired by to create something sort of new. When you find out, you know, how the origin essentially of how he became this way, it became really interesting for me and had me hooked to want to read the next book for sure.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, it kind of brings us back to the basics of why this show is here and what we're trying to do. And as you've said multiple times, Shane, you know, it's like, this is the moments that we love, right? Finding, again, not necessarily a completely brand new, you know, no influence from other media or other historical, events, but just a story that is great. Everything comes together. It's some of the beauty of the self-published, self-owned, all these smaller entities. You have the ability to do what we've talked about, the word bubbles, the lettering. Like, you're able to kind of have that creative freedom to express it the way that you want to express it. And this team has done that in a very, very beautiful form, because we've done reviews of other books where it's like, well, this piece becomes distracting, or this piece holds up the flow of the story, or different things, whether it's artwork sometimes or lettering. If you're distracted by it, it's not, I guess, truly doing what it's designed to do, which is enhance it. I think a few of you have used different terms, but that's ultimately what it's doing. It's enhancing but when all of the artwork and the lettering and all of the story, all of it does that for each other, that enhancement, it's a fantastic book. And I think that's where it doesn't have to have, a 99 out of 100 things are unique about this to make it a great book. There might be a little bit of repetitiveness or other things that have been written similar, but in this book, it does such a beautiful job of all those enhancements that it's just a joy. And to Paul's point, it's like sometimes you're lucky enough to stumble across that in the comic book shop. So again, obviously support your local shops and go out there and look, and take a few moments to leaf through some of the pages. If you're a digital comic reader, then again, with Global Comics, hey, things are there, but it's just, there's sometimes so much, it's hard to find those. And that's, again, hopefully where you find value in the show and what we're trying to bring about, which is just getting the word out there about some amazing projects. And this is one of those.
Yeah, that's a great way to say that, Mike. Really, I know when I'm reading a comic, I'm looking for, does the story complement the artistry? Does the artistry complement the writing? Does the font, the lettering that's used, does that complement everything? And this is a great example where everything came together really well, and definitely a highly recommended option for people to go out there and get.
Yeah, Mark Publishing has several titles out there, like I said, and several of them are on Global Comics. So if you like Deathrage, don't stop there. There's plenty to enjoy.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, Paul, for bringing this one. This was a joy to read this one. I appreciate it.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. This was another great episode, another great find, another great review. Please hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell so we can keep bringing you content like this, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take care.
Bye, y'all.